Of course, there's a lot of things, as you mentioned, Curtis, in the basketball side of stuff that we'll talk about. Which obviously, the whole Boogie Fland deal you talked about on Pod at the Palace this morning and everything. It's just so fascinating. I think you even retweeted it from Paul Biancardi when he about an hour ago he said Boogie Fland is back in college basketball. Arkansas is certainly an option, but not a lock. When healthy, he was very successful at Arkansas. Many schools are calling, as he is expected to be one of the guards in the country. I think he meant to put best guards in the country before that. Just one of the guards in the country is what he wanted to make known. But I think that when you talk about portal season being back, not just here at Arkansas, but man, there's a lot of fascination surrounding Boogie Fland and where he's going to end up because he is that good of a player. Yeah,
he absolutely is. He's arguably the top player in the transfer portal at this point. I mean, I guess you could make the argument for, RJ Lewis or PJ Haggerty or whatever. But I think in terms of NBA upside, he would definitely be that guy, in terms of who's in there right now. So this is interesting. I mean, it's from the very moment, and I tried to be as transparent as I could on the Pod at the Palace of like, hey, I understand that I'm reacting in the moment. And I understand that this is a hindsight take, and I understand I'm moving the goalposts. But things changed for me. I'm not going to lie. As soon as it went from Boogie's out of here because he's going to the league to Boogie's out of here because he's going to the portal and he's going to go play somewhere else. Like immediate for me, that pissed me off because I look at the areas that Arkansas theoretically would need to improve. It's depth. It's having some more experience in the backcourt. It's somebody who could make threes and who has done it in a college game. And whether Boogie's a great fit, because we've talked about the roster logistics with DJ comes back and then adding somebody, same deal with Boogie. Like it would be complicated. It's not unprecedented. Cal did it his last year at Kentucky. All that acknowledged, it just doesn't set right with me. Boogie Fland going and playing college basketball somewhere else. And so this stuff today is really fascinating, guys, because yesterday, Boogie's agent, who's Mike Miller, by the way, was sending out the directive to everybody in the national media. Hey, Boogie's in the portal. He's going to find somewhere else to play. Like he's looking for a new home, going to go find another school. And that was what was out there. So, and that's kind of what you have to operate on. So who put out the message to Biancardi today? You know what I mean? Of all of a sudden Arkansas being an option there, as they should be. Right. And so is Boogie going to wind up coming back to Arkansas? I mean, like never say never. I certainly don't feel like that's going to wind up being the case right this second. But at the end of the day, can you guys show me, or if there's Kentucky people listening in the chat right now, because I'm sure you are, legitimate question, name me a Kentucky guard, a John Calipari guard, who's had the level of success, injury aside, that Boogie Fland had his freshman year, who dipped and played college basketball somewhere else next season. Find me that guy. People transferred on him, but it's because it didn't pan out. It didn't work out. Change of scenery. Show me the guy who's done the things Boogie did, who played college basketball somewhere else. I'm waiting.
Yeah, and my big reaction yesterday, because a lot of people, you obviously think of like, oh, what's your take on this? And like, really, I just surprised because we kind of knew this was a possibility. Of course, when he entered the portal, we definitely knew it was a possibility. But the whole time, I'm still sitting in my brain thinking, but at the end of the day, he's going to be playing NBA. He's going to go to the draft. Exactly. He'll get drafted 35th overall, and it will all be fine. Like, all parties will be fine here. Even when, we started hearing the murmurs of, Florida, St. John's or whatever, the whole time my brain still, if you would have asked me what I thought was going to happen, I would have said Boogie Fland stays in the draft and then we're all fine. So to see it happen like definitively, it kind of just like you say, opens your brain up to so many possibilities, because now we have to have some of these questions of looking at Arkansas's roster, which we all agree, not a complete product at the point. Like there's still room for something. It's just a matter of if it's Boogie or a wing or a big or whatever. And like you said, Boogie certainly fits some of those criteria. So it's a thing you have to consider. And we know John Calipari is 1,000% going to consider it. You remember when he put out that video and he was like, we wish Boogie the best in the draft, blah, blah, blah. In that moment, I really do not believe John Calipari in his heart thought Boogie Fland was going to go be playing college basketball somewhere else. And so I'm sure he's having that same kind of mental battle that we're all having right now. And so it's a fascinating conversation, and I can't wait to see how this sucker plays out.
He definitely didn't. I'm glad that he mentioned, or that you mentioned that tweet that he put out there. The expectation, I can just tell you, because I've talked to people in the basketball facilities over there, the expectation from the jump has been that the dude was going to go pro. Like he was playing in the league. Now, could that have shifted over the last several days here? Have the communication lines been open? Yeah, probably so. But when he declared for the draft, they thought he was staying in the draft. When he entered the portal, they thought he was staying in the draft. That's been the case. And, like things happen with guys' stock and everything like that. I'm not going to say that they were completely blindsided with the news when it came out yesterday. Like, whoa, no way. Yeah. We better call him. But I definitely think the expectation was that he was just out of here and going to the league.
Well, I'm going to get a little bit personal on with you guys, and you probably know where I'm going with this. My reaction to it was kind of like having that ex-girlfriend that, y'all broke up and you didn't really want to, but you're like, hey, what's best for you? Because they were moving away, they're going on with their life, doing something different. And then after time, you're like, yeah, they haven't moved yet. They haven't left. They're still here. There's still a chance. What are you doing? Like, it's like, it gives the vibes like, okay, I don't want someone else to have you. Like, I know I can't have you, but I don't want someone else to have you either. And that's kind of how I felt about with the Boogie Fland situation. Was like, when he was going to the NBA, totally get it. Great. Can't wait to see you. And wherever you end up playing, wish you nothing but the best of luck. #ProHogs, all that stuff. But then when it gets announced that he's like, he's actually coming back and he may not come back to Arkansas. I was like, well, hold on a second, my man.
Yeah,
I don't like that. I don't like the fact that you're going to. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's Florida. I don't care if it's other team in the SEC. I don't care if it's St. John's. I don't care. I don't want you back in the basketball side of things in college if you're not going to be a Razorback. I don't want that. So even though I'm fine with the roster, got the new guards coming in and all that, like, I'm excited about it, but I don't want Boogie Fland to go elsewhere.
Yeah, no, I'm with you 100%, man. It's just, you can't have, especially in the SEC. And I know Todd Golden just won a national championship. You can't have Boogie Fland leaving you and going and playing for Todd Golden. That can't be a thing. And if that happens, and this is kind of my point on the pod at the Palace this morning, is like, I'm not even necessarily advocating for Boogie. You know what I mean? Like bringing Boogie back, although it doesn't sit right. It doesn't feel right. Imagine him in a different college uniform, but you gotta do something now. Like I just don't know how you could then justify just getting Carter Knox back and then sitting on your hands and going into next season when everything that Boogie kind of represents as a basketball player is still a, quote unquote hole that you haven't plugged on your current roster.
Yeah, and look, it's 100%, and I'm sure we're going to do it. It's 100% fair to have the questions of, hey, how does this work? Because you've got all this going on. Like, we can have those conversations, but I do need people to understand, if Arkansas were to get Carter Knox to not go to the draft and get Boogie to not be in the portal and stay at Arkansas would maybe probably be the preseason #1 overall team, or like top 3. Like that would be a very big wave. You saw how much of a wave Boogie entering the portal made, how much like him saying he was going to come back to college, like that. If he's announced he's staying at Arkansas, like that's going to send waves nationally. Like, that would be a big deal, and it would honestly be a fascinating situation because you'd really be able to hammer home that retention. We're going to be old. We got all the pieces. We've got everything type of narrative going into the season.
Well, and I think that you kind of mentioned it right there. That I was going to be my next point. I don't think, at least I don't hope, that Cal cares about perception because I think he's established himself. But it does kind of beg the question for me. It's like, okay, so how is this perceived? If he goes to Florida, how is the perception of Cal in this whole situation? Because I'm not going to say it's going to ruin his reputation and it's the extreme, but it's also not like the best look, of like, hey, we want this guy or we love this kid and we wish him nothing but the best because he's going pro and that's what we want. But then when he's making a decision where he's like, okay, I'm not just coming back to college and I'm not just going to go and play for a lot of NIL money, which is the assumption, but I'm not going to do it at the place that I was just at, that I played for in the NCAA tournament when I was hurt all that time. And that I did have a lot of minutes when I was healthy to play. I don't know. Again, I'm not saying it's an indictment on Cal. It's just, I think perception's a key to a lot. And the public, maybe national perspective, is going to be like, well, that's weird. Why would you not go back to Arkansas if you're Boogie Fland and Cal? I think people are going to be asking that question.
Yeah, no, for sure. And that was a big part of my thought process was it does when you're going to the NBA, whether you're ready for it or not. That's just an entirely different conversation than if you're going to play college somewhere else. It changes the optics, man. And that stuff does matter. It really, and that's why it immediately, to me, and what I was saying is like, I feel like that turns up the heat a little bit for them to make some more moves to round out the roster. Like it's hard to justify not addressing some of the things that they haven't addressed. I know they got the freshmen coming in and that's great. Not discounting those guys at all, but there's a level of proven production that you're losing here still, that they're, kind of betting on themselves at the moment with these young guys coming to being able to come in and replace it all that they haven't addressed in the portal. So that's that, you know what I mean? And again, I go back to the Calipari thing. Like these guys like that don't leave Cal, man. And like I've been taking note of the names that people have been throwing out there because I asked for them. Devin Askew averaged 6 points per game as a freshman, and he's on like his 15th. Like that is not Boogie Fland. Johnny Juzang averaged less than 3 points per game his first year at Kentucky than he did. That is not Boogie Fland. Keon Brooks was at Kentucky for 3 years before he transferred. That's not Boogie Fland. Like I'm waiting for that Calipari freshman guard who came in and averaged 15 points and 6 assists per game that didn't go to the league and went and played somewhere else. And somebody else is like, that's not fair because the portal's new. Portal's been around, my guy. Like we're many, many, many years into this and it hasn't happened yet. And I don't want the first time for it to happen to be at Arkansas, frankly. So I mean, it's just where I'm at, man.
Curtis, I'm so glad you did that because when I saw Askew's name, I'm like, okay, what the hell are we talking about? Like let's relax a little bit. But the closest thing I can think of, you remember Sav Wheeler? He's the closest thing you can think, and he averaged like 9 and 6. But he was just
started at Georgia,
right? And he was like second in the SEC in assists. Even he is like not nearly as good or well, received as Boogie Fland. I also think, you mentioned, John, how like he went from, if you go to the draft, you're one of Cal's guys. If you play somewhere else, you're not one of Cal's guys. I think that is a very fat factor in this thing because, like, Cal talks all the time about how changing these kids' lives, changing these kids' families, like having these guys that like view him that way is so important to him. And by the way, that's why everyone loves him. Like it's a very big part of who John Calipari is and his story. And so again, you add in the production, you add in Arkansas still needs to make moves. You add in the fact that John Calipari loves having these guys, these prominent figures that are his guys. He loves Boogie Fland. Like he loves the young man. He loves his family. I think he's going to get back. I just have a hard time imagining he's just going to like sit out of this sweepstakes. And like you said, Curtis, if they don't, which is like, we can have that conversation well within your rights to not bring, think about the fit, but like you have to do something else. You can't just, sit tight and be like, all right, we're good with what we got, which is kind of the messaging, we heard a few weeks ago of like, hey, they like what they have. They're not in a hurry. That mentality changes right away.
Yeah. Yep.
All they have is all they need. Right. That's what the mantra needs to be. I will say, and going to the player that's gotten thrown out there, I am not comparing it and not even saying it's close, but who's the first player I thought of, and he's not even the same position. I remember Kyle Wilcher. Remember him?
Oh yeah.
For Kentucky. He was like one of those players. I know he wasn't a guard or anything like that, but he was like one of the only players I felt like I remember was decent maybe at Kentucky and then transferred out to Gonzaga. Because I was looking up his stats. He averaged like 10 and 5. So still, but not to the level of Boogie, not even saying it's close, but just that shows you how rare it is and how it just doesn't happen very often.
And he was also at Kentucky for 2 years.
Oh, yeah. There you go. Yeah. It's crazy.
Where you go, Gonzaga?
Yeah. Went to Gonzaga.
Yeah.
But you're right. He was pretty good his second year there.
Also, Wilcher's, I know it's like a deep cut name, but like that's one example, but like he played like 5 years in the NBA. Like that, that's like the closest comparison you can possibly find, honestly. And it's a guy that a lot of people have not heard of. Yeah.
Well, I mean, he played in those awful seasons for Kentucky where they only went to the NIT. So he had to go. He just had to go.
All right. And I see a lot of people here, and you're right, who are doing the thing about like, well, we have, bigger needs elsewhere, better fits, at other positions. All that's true. I mean, I'm with you. Like, you're not telling me anything I don't already know. I've been talking about it every day for like 90 days now. It feels like, I understand. I get that. But what do you think is more likely? What kind of bidding war do you think John Calipari is more likely to get into? One to get Boogie Fland back, or one to go get Jameer Watkins? What do you think? I can tell you the answer. If you want to add impact pieces to this roster outside of Carter Knox coming back, that's your pathway to do it.
Mm-hmm. Especially if Carter Knox does come back, then he's really not about to enter that Jameer Watkins sweepstakes over a guy like Boogie. I 100% agree.
Yeah.
I want chaos. Just have Boogie come back to Arkansas and have Carter Knox come back to Arkansas and just chaos.
Now,
give them all.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And it's not unprecedented. I mean, it's what is so different about, Boogie, DJ, Darius Acuff, and Malik Thomas versus, DJ Wagner, Rob Dillingham, Reed Shepard, and Antonio Reeves. I mean, it's they figured it out then, and they got popped in the tournament, whatever, but they won like 30 games and they made it work. You know what it's called? It's called having a depth chart with talented players on it. I know it's a novel concept, but it's what programs do. So I mean, it's not the craziest thing in the world. Now, what you have to think about here is how crazy is the money that other people are offering Boogie. And it's fair to look at Florida and say, man, it's actually a better opportunity for Boogie. Wide open space right there in the starting lineup with the defending national champs. He's got great bigs to lob it up to. A knockdown shooter in Xavier Lee. Like it's a prime position and opportunity for him there. That's far less complicated than what it would be at Arkansas. That's objectively true.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, we talk about fit a lot. I don't think that, like you said, you pointed to that example of their team at Kentucky a couple years ago, like high level players, even if they are similar skill sets, like especially in this day and age of modern creative offensive play, like having 3 or 4 guys on the floor that can handle the ball and will, if you get them to really click, like all of a sudden you have good spacing, you've got playmaking everywhere. Like it really can raise your ceiling as a team. You still have a lot to figure out, and that's up to those guys. And it's up to Cal and his staff to kind of mix the pieces together and those personalities to mesh. But it's like, I'm okay kind of betting on the upside if you can do something like that. And so it's easily, it would not take me long at all. And I think if Darius Acuff and Malik Thomas are the guys that Arkansas thinks and hope they will be, I don't think bringing in another talented guard is really going to get in their way too much. I think they will just round out, like they will find a way. Like if they are really that good, you find a way to make it work, and you all are able to eat. I mean, if you're winning 30, games a year, you're scoring 89 points a game. There's a lot of people that can eat in those settings.
There is, man, and I feel like right now, like let's say they don't get Boogie and they wind up getting Knox back, which I still think is going to wind up happening here. Like if all the conditions work out the right way, yeah, you're just fine. But you are 100% dependent on those 2 freshman guards being legit, because you don't have a backup plan. You don't have depth. You don't have a contingency. Like none of that exists. If it doesn't pan out for one of those guys, or you're right back in the same situation. If you get some more bad luck with injuries and all that. And my whole point is, with all of this, the entire offseason, it's not questioning Cal or, I think these guys are going to suck. No, I don't think that at all. But I'm operating from the standpoint of why the hell, if you were Arkansas with John Calipari and, the Tyson Chicken Man, like all those factors there, should you be in a position to ever have to do the mental gymnastics with the roster? Have we done enough? Do we have enough shooting? Do we have enough that no. The cup runneth over here. That's the roster should never be the damn question with John Calipari here at the Razorbacks. Does it mesh? Does it work? Do the pieces fit? Are the X's and O's there? Those have always been the questions. It's not the freaking roster. So like there's no situation here in my mind where we should ever be looking at this going, well, if this works out, that works out, this works out, that works out. If this guy gets better, if this guy improves, if this guy can play this position and that position, yep, they could be really, really good. No, bullshit. I'm not accepting that.
Yeah. And I'll tell you this, I know we'll get to the chat, but say if it worked out to where you got Boogie Fland back and, something crazy like that, or even Carter Knox, I don't even care about fits. I'm not even going to think about that. I'm just like, hey, you got a talented roster, like you said, Curtis, there should never be that case. And if that was to happen where that's the roster where you got Boogie Fland and Carter Knox back, that it's going to be all right. Well, hey, listen, this is Cal. I'm trusting him and he knows it. I want talent. I want the best players. I want to have all of that. Because guess what? If you have a bad night or if a bad stretch, you're going to have somebody else to rely on. If you got, the freshmen that are struggling, well, you're going to have some experience there. I just don't understand why anybody, and I don't think anyone really truly is, at least hopefully not, but I don't know why anybody would be like, nah, don't want Boogie. Let him go. Well, we're fine. No, I want all the players.
It right now in front of my eyes.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like anybody that's actually like I just don't understand why and what reality you'd want to live in. Why you wouldn't want that.
You know what I could already hear and see in my head is BBN 7 games into the season when Darius Acuff's averaging like 6 in a game, and they're like, "Told you, he's the new Reed Shepherd, man.
We tried to warn you.
Feel bad for the kid. He's the new Reed Shepherd. He might go 4th overall." It's like,
Boogie Fland's the new DJ Wagner, and you still have DJ Wagner. You
got a double DJ. You got a double DJ, man.
Listen, I just want them to be as good as possible, man. Like I'm hungry. I'm starved for a national title contender, and that's not to say that they couldn't be that, but I don't want to be in the situation where everything has to go exactly right. Like I saw. And I'm not trying to compare programs here, but I saw a Nate Oates quote that I liked. And he said, "Hey, we got 11 guys on scholarship right now. And, if we went into the season with these 11, I'd feel really good about what we had, but we're still shopping. Like I'm still looking to add. There's still guys who are coming out of the draft. We want to add to this roster. We don't want to leave anything to chance, especially after what we experienced last year with the way injuries impacted things. And they had multiple injuries that impacted things for them. And that's just, I think that's a good approach to have. It's not the only approach to have. It doesn't mean it can't work the other way. But I like that line of thinking.
Yeah. I mean, in this day and age, I don't know how you aren't always at least kind of eyeballing, just testing the waters here and there, seeing who you can process and who you can bring back.
Yeah. I want them all. I want the talent. I want the smoke. I want the talk. I want it all. That's all. Like, I just forget all the other stuff. Like, I want to see it. And also because, I want Boogie to be back, because the last time I saw him, he had his hoodie and his like zipped up. You couldn't see anything, and he had his headphones in. We didn't get a chance to talk to him after they lost. I'd love to know, how he's feeling and how everything's going. And I don't want to hear it through Florida Gator media. I don't want to do that. So make it happen, Cal. I know you got that money. I know you got that chicken and all those good checks that need to be deposited. Just make it happen for us. So
erect chicken.
Yes. Yeah. None of that flaccid stuff.
Hey, he's not working with the flaccid chicken, man.
No, there's nothing flaccid when it comes to the chicken that Cal's getting with.
Man, I needed a day like this. Let's go.
Yeah.
Fired up again, man.
Hey, that's